Hello everyone, welcome back to this final lesson on the overview of timber design. So today we're going to talk about combined bending and compression. Usually if a member is sized to resist bending alone, that means you might need to increase one or two sizes to cope with combined bending and compression effects. We're just going to talk about combined bending and compression. Combined bending and tension is not really a big issue. That's why we're just going to focus on combined bending and compression. All right, so when a member is subjected to combined bending and compression, two things come to mind. First one is very logical. The capacity of the member is reduced. It can't resist the full axial load and the full bending load at the same time. And the second thing is that second order effects will arise. So we're going to talk about second order effects more in depth in the steel column design lesson. But basically if you have to design, we call it beam column, right? Which is a column that is also subjected to bending. You would probably have to run second order analysis in a software to find the bending moment diagram and the deflection. Again, we're going to talk more about that in the steel column design. But what you have to remember here is that before sway members, we do have to run a second order analysis. For now, just keep in mind that for braced elements, a first order analysis will be enough. And that's because second order effects have already been incorporated in the interaction equations, right? If you scroll down, you're going to see here the interaction equations that we have to use for combined bending and compression. But for a sway frame, we do have to run a second order analysis. If you don't know what a braced frame is, or sway frame is, or first order analysis, or second order analysis, don't stress too much because we're going to go through that in the lesson of a steel column design. All right, so for now, just remember that the reason we're not running a second order analysis when we are designing or timber columns in our residential projects, for example, is because the second order effects have already been incorporated in the interaction equations. Okay, that's the only thing that I want you to understand now. So if you scroll down, there's a link for the steel column design where we talk about the effective length factors KE. And here is where I explain what a braced frame is or what a sway frame is. And right below there's a timber pole example, and we call it a beam column because a column that is subjected to compression and bending moment at the same time, we call it beam column. If we click at this timber pole example, let me just open in a new tab. It's an example of how the second order effects will affect this timber pole. So it's an example of a power transmission system. Do you know, like those round timber poles that they put in the middle of the street to carry the lights in the power transmission system? So that's what we're designing here. I would recommend you first watch the steel design lessons, and then you understand the effective lengths and second order analysis, and then you come back and go through this example yourself. And the interaction equations, they're very similar to the steel design as well. It's basically a ratio of the design actions to the capacity, and that has to be equal or less than 1. Essentially, what these equations are telling us is that you cannot let either effect reach 100% of its capacity on its own. So you can't have 100% of the bending capacity utilization and then 100% of the capacity utilization for compression as well. So always when you design a member in combined bending and compression, if you did the first check, let's say for compression, and the capacity is really close to the design action, just go back and give it a buffer. Just make it a little bit stronger, because when you have to design for bending and then when you check combined actions, if you don't have a little bit of a buffer in there, it's not going to work here in the interaction equations. As I said, these equations are pretty similar to the steel column design, so I'm not going to extend this lesson too much, because we're going to go over these sort of equations in much more detail in the next module. And finally, there is another example of the design of a stud supporting concentrated loads. It's a really good one because it goes through a stud subject to compression loads and also wind loads. So it's pretty much a external wall framing, because the external wall framing is always subjected to wind loads and at the same time the concentrated loads from the floor above. And then this example is a stud supporting a point load from a beam and also supporting lateral wind forces. We have a lesson on wall framing, so we're going to go through this example together for studs supporting concentrated loads, but feel free to have a look at it by yourself right now. And I hope you enjoyed this module, and I'll see you in the next lesson.